Woohoo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington Normal. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. What's your favorite pie? Send me a text message 309-451-9299. Yesterday, somebody texted in and they said pecan is my favorite. It's very sugary, it's very unhealthy, but pecan is my favorite pie. My favorite pie, I think it's not pie at all. It's actually cheesecake. I'm a big fan of cheesecake. It's probably because I'm a Midwest gal. I love cheesecake. I love a good cheesecake. I made one yesterday. The recipe I used, it called for lemon zest, and I was very confused as to why it was calling for lemon zest. I was like, well, it's not a lemon cheesecake, but I looked it up, and then there was an article that said that lemon zest in your cheesecake actually like enhances the flavor of the cream cheese, and uh, I should have believed myself. I should have went with my gut because it did kind of taste a little lemony, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna leave the lemon zest out next time. But why in the hell would a recipe call for lemon zest in a normal cheesecake? So I made a New York style cheesecake, which was really fun because I've never really made a New York style one because I really hate baking cheesecake. I like the no bake cheesecake where you just kind of fill it in and then chill it. Um, but I made a New York style cheesecake and it turned out really nice. It was really good. But it's a process because you got to put it in a pan, like a roasting pan of boiling water, and then bake it. So that was really interesting. I think it's like makes it to where it bubbles up on the top and kind of like, you get that brown top. I don't know exactly what it does. I'm not a scientist, but it was a whole lot of fun. I had a very nice Thanksgiving. What are you thankful for? I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for this program, and I'm thankful for Cities 92.9. Speaking of which, we've got a deal going on right now, or, well, a deal, kind of a deal, I guess. It's you could snag a $500 gift card to Guns and Glory in Leroy, Illinois. Guns and Glory, Leroy, Illinois, and also a free deer processing and a $100 gift card to Quinskull's Taxidermy. We've teamed up with Guns and Glory, Quinskull's Taxidermy, and of course, Bloomington Meats to provide you this prize pack. Now, how do you get this prize? You submit a picture of yourself with your game. So you got, I know it's hunting season. I think it's hunting season until the 8th of December. Fact check me on that, hunters, if you're listening, but I'm pretty sure it's the 8th of December, at least deer hunting season. So show us your trophy bucks, and we're going to notify the winner by December 30th. So go ahead and submit a picture of you and your game this season for a chance to win a Guns and Glory gift card for $500. Bloomington Meats, you get a free deer processing. It's a really cool prize pack. So you can do that, of course, at cities929.com. That's cities929.com. All right. I do want to get into a few stories today. It's going to be kind of a light day. There's not going to be a whole ton of news. I do a little bit later have some heavy lifting. We got to talk about this unaccompanied minor that was found at the border. She's 2 years old, which is just so tragic. And she arrived at the border with nothing but a note in her hand. That's going to be in the 7 o'clock hour. And then I do want to get on, get to the story about Joy Reid. Oh, I love Joy Reid. She went on this massive rant about Elon Musk's Doge. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, they're going to be heading up that government agency called Doge. And she claims, I don't know what it is. I was actually at a neighbor's house and I walked in and he had NBC or MSNBC playing, I don't know, one of the local news channels. And they were like going on a rant about how raw milk is bad for you. Yeah, sure, it's hard to kind of get raw milk to stay and to be safe, in transport. But if you're drinking raw milk, like if you live on a farm and you drink raw milk, I mean, I've done that. We did that growing up. We had, cows in the back. We drank straight from the udder, right? And I've had raw milk before. It's totally fine. Totally fine. Now, if you're trying to keep raw milk and if you're trying to buy raw milk and, buy it from someone who had it shipped, it's hard to kind of keep raw milk unless, the cow's right there and it's like from udder to table, you know what I mean? But we're gonna get on. We're gonna get to this because Joy Reid, she goes on a rant about Elon Musk and Doge and how people are gonna be forced to drink raw milk if Elon Musk becomes this Doge. Well, when Elon Musk becomes the Doge head, okay, the Department of Government Efficiency head. She's trying to convince the masses that making the government more efficient is a bad thing. I don't understand that at all. I do want to talk about this Maryland family. This is a tragedy. They say that they're going to go to Canada if Trump bans child sex changes and if that goes into effect. Wow. I also want to talk about this obese travel blogger. Hilarious. She's furious because this airline makes her purchase a couple of seats despite her, previous complaints. So she's been complaining about this TikToker. She's a travel blogger and she is always on flights. And last year she complained about, having to purchase multiple seats because she's a very heavy-set woman. Now, I'm not going to get on here and disparage anybody who's overweight. You should be working on it just for your own health, right? But if you're overweight, obese, and you can't fit in an airline seat, and that's on you, okay? There's consequences to your actions. The actions in which led you to be obese and you can't fit an airline seat, you have to deal with those consequences. I hate this lack of accountability, from this travel blogger. Like, look, lady, it's not my fault you hate yourself to a point where you can't even fit in. She has to purchase, I think, 3 seats because she can't fit in 2 seats. She takes up an entire row of airline seats. And I'm not making fun of her because she's fat, but it's this lack of accountability and this lack of understanding that there are consequences to your action and you have to deal with that. So we're going to get to that, plus this Unhinged TikToker. Now, the obese travel blogger I was just talking about, perhaps somebody should spit in her food and then she won't eat it. And then she'll be able to fit in an airline seat. But this story, it's a separate story. This TikToker, Unhinged, vowed to spit in Trump supporters' food during Thanksgiving. So she kind of like not recommended you do this. She kind of like backpedaled from it, but she was blatantly like saying, wouldn't it be a shame if, Trump supporters at Thanksgiving, your family, if they're Trump supporters, wouldn't it be a shame if you spat in their food? How unhinged. We're going to get to all of it here on Conservative Cat. Find me on YouTube, find me on Rumble, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into this Maryland family first. I want to get to this story. So a husband and a wife, they have a young child, and this young child apparently has been taking puberty blockers. Somebody should call DC Obese, right? Taking puberty blockers. I mean, stopping your child's natural biological, like their biological system from working. Okay, it's kind of like depriving a kid from going to the bathroom. You would definitely be charged with some sort of child abuse or child neglect if you forced your child to not urinate or to not go to the bathroom. And if you said, hey, you can't go to the bathroom, like that would be so wrong. And people would look at that and say, yeah, that's child abuse. Or if you forced a child not to be able to drink water, biologically, we need water in order to survive. Puberty is a naturally biological thing that your body goes through, and to deprive a child of going through puberty is just abuse in and of itself. So anyway, they want to seek asylum in Canada if President-elect Donald Trump implements what he promised nationwide, which was a ban on minor sex changes and minor sex change procedures. I don't think he's going to ban the puberty blockers. I think he's just going to ban the whole chopping off of healthy body parts of children who aren't old enough to be making those kinds of decisions. So the Halif family is who we're talking about this morning. They moved to Missouri, or they moved to Maryland. They were originally from Missouri, but Missouri is a conservative-run state, and they banned hormone therapy and puberty blockers for anyone under the age of 18. Yeah, it, it's child abuse. You're blocking a very natural part of life for this child to go through. Like I said, it's no different from depriving a child from going to the bathroom or depriving a child of water. This is something that has to happen in order for the body to function. Okay, that's why it happens. So the family, they are kind of making another like they're reassessing their situation. They now live in Maryland. They fled from the state of Missouri. Now they're reassessing their situation now that Donald Trump is going to be president. Quote, Sarah told CNN, Sarah Haluf, or Haluf family. It's the Haluf family. So Sarah Haluf told CNN, quote, we thought by leaving Missouri and coming to Maryland that we would be safe. What? Safe? What? Yeah, safe to abuse your children. And now we're threatened with anti-trans legislation on a federal level. A federal healthcare ban would likely be the moment we know it's time to leave. So they're currently contemplating the possibility of leaving the country entirely. And, you know, a lot of times I will say, like, good, go. You know, all the liberals, the celebrities, Ellen DeGeneres, right? I'm going to leave the United States because Donald Trump is president. usually I'd say go. But this is a 12-year-old child we're talking about. And this child needs to be taken away from this man. I strongly believe that this is child abuse if you are hell-bent on providing puberty blockers to your 12-year-old. Arez Haluf, Sarah's husband, said they are in the process of submitting an asylum application to the Canadian government due to their concerns regarding the potential consequences of a Trump administration on their 12-year-old child, who they've been raising as the opposite sex. Wow. This is what he says to CNN, quote, if push comes to shove, we'll go north. We'll go to Canada. So in 2023, now I have to take a quick break, but I do want to talk about Canada's laws here because it's not as, you know, roses and butterflies as they think it is. The Canadian LGBTQ groups moved in 2023 to make it easier for trans-identified Americans to seek asylum in the nation, citing policies that prevent child sex changes. So it is easier to flee on an asylum case to go to Canada because of this 2023 push by Canadian LGBTQ lobbyists and groups. And they made it easier for Americans to seek asylum. Right? Seeking asylum, it used to be like you're facing danger in your country. But they said that, you know, hey, we should make it easier for Americans to seek asylum because in America, there are states like Missouri who have bans on puberty blockers for minors or child sex change procedures. So that's what happened in 2023. But the policies in Canada are not all that great. And I'll tell you why here coming up in, it's not going to, or all that great for somebody looking to, you know, change the sex of their child or for somebody looking to feed their child puberty blockers, which block the most natural occurring thing that happens to you biologically, puberty. Wow. I mean, it's no different, really. It's no different than depriving a child of water. Depriving them, it's a biological response that your body has. And we need water, much like your body needs to go through puberty in order to grow into adulthood. All right. So I got to take a quick break, but I'm going to unpack Canada's laws really around gender affirming care. You have to give up a ton of your rights, a ton of all of your privacy to the Canadian healthcare system if you want to follow through with obtaining puberty blockers, synthetic hormones, or going through a gender transitioning surgery. So I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Good morning. Hey, it's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. So this the Haluf family, they are contemplating going up to Canada to receive puberty blockers, gender transitioning procedures for their 12-year-old child that they've been raising as the opposite sex. They're concerned regarding, of course, potential consequences of a Trump administration. Trump, of course, on the campaign trail pledged to revoke policies that supported sex change procedures, which Democrats call gender affirming care. Of course, these are sex change procedures. This is chopping off healthy body parts of children, and he's just banning it for the kids. Okay, Donald Trump pledged to do this. Most people are favorable of this type of policy, particularly for individuals under the age of 18. This is what he's talking about. He pledged to revoke these policies that support sex change procedures for children under the age of 18. So the president-elect has declared that public schools would no longer receive federal funding. By the way, this is a big one if they advocate for concepts associated with gender transitioning or transgender individuals. So I know for both District 87 Unit 5 Illinois schools, they follow the guidance of ISB or the Teachers Association, the Illinois Education Association, the IEA. And what they do, if a child comes up to a teacher, discloses that he or she is transgender and little Timmy wants to be Tammy, they cannot tell Timmy's parents that Timmy wants to be Tammy, and they're instructed to hide that from the parents. And they have to obtain written consent from that child if they are to disclose it to parents. So if the child says, I don't want to tell my mom and dad, you have to respect that. You have to respect the wishes of a 12-year-old and not inform the parents that little Timmy wants to be Tammy. I know of individuals where they will provide little Timmy girls' clothes at school. No, quite literally, this goes on in your public schools, Illinois public schools. Timmy will not only get to be Tammy at school, but you won't know anything about it as the parent, and the school teacher will provide little Timmy little girl's clothes in order for him to fulfill his dream of being Tammy. Okay, so this is what goes on in the schools, and if schools are doing stuff like that, so the IEA, they have forced that down the schools' throats. The Illinois Education Association, this is mass email sent out to all kinds of Illinois schools saying, instructing teachers to not inform parents that children or those students are or a student is seeking to transition or wants to transition. You can't disclose any of that to the parent. So those types of schools that are supportive of those types of policies will likely no longer receive federal funding if they're supporting that kind of stuff. So he further pledged, Donald Trump, that any healthcare provider or hospital that offers sex change procedures or therapies to juveniles would no longer meet federal health and safety standards. As a result, would no longer receive federal funding. So he's going to put a stop to all of this gender affirming care, so-called gender affirming care nonsense. Now, before I took the break, I was telling you a little bit about Canada and what you need to do to really get a gender. I think that the Haluf family, who's moved to Maryland from Missouri, they're going to seek asylum in Canada if Trump bans child sex changes, if his ban goes into effect. And they're contemplating this move. They already moved from Missouri, which is a conservative-run state. They banned puberty blockers, and they want their child to stay on the puberty blockers. Now, before I took the break, I said this family is going to run into a ton of hiccups probably when they move to Canada to get their kid the puberty blockers and to get their kid the transitioning surgery. It's not as easy as you'd think in Canada. I mean, it's easy to get a gender transitioning surgery, but it's not as easy as you would think. You have to give up all kinds of privacy, all kinds of rights. You have to provide birth certificates, a statutory declaration, which is all like the more requirements and the harder it is to get gender transitioning surgery for a minor, I'm all for. But that's what this is really about. It's about government coming in and taking control of your private life. They want to be involved in every little tiny detail of your life if you decide to go through this gender transitioning of your child. The Canadian government wants documentation upon documentation. You need to go through a mental health evaluation and undergo a mental health evaluation. You have to demonstrate that you understand the process involved. You have to have a history of gender questioning, and it has to be longer than a year. You have to have been questioning your gender for longer than a year in order to undergo any kind of gender affirming surgery. So there are a lot of hurdles that this family, or when you move to Canada, it's not going to be easy either to go get a gender transitioning surgery. You'd have to give up a ton of information as a family and as the child. You have to give them all everything about that child, and it's government healthcare over there. So you have to fork over all of your privacy, all of your medical information in order to obtain some gender affirming care over in Canada anyway. So, you know, they're concerned that their trans child will no longer be able to access puberty blockers that they're presently taking. This child, this 12-year-old child, the Haluff's family, who is in Maryland, by the way, they moved from Missouri to Maryland in order to receive puberty blockers because there's a ban on puberty blockers in Missouri. Quote, if she didn't get the care, she would end up going through puberty, and it would be traumatizing to see all of those things happen to her body. Sarah, the mother of this child, told CNN. What? Excuse me? It's traumatizing to see your daughter go through, oh, I don't know, or it looks like it's a little boy wanting to be a little girl. It's traumatizing to see your little boy go through puberty, like a biologically normal thing that everybody goes through. It'd be traumatizing. Puberty isn't fun, sure. I mean, I guess, but what? It's traumatizing if he ended up going through puberty. I just don't understand it. All right, I do want to shift gears. Let's talk about the obese travel blogger having a mental breakdown on social media. This is kind of funny. This week, over U.S. airlines making overweight people purchase 2 seats if they're unable to fit in the 1 seat due to their large size. Okay. Now, this woman, Jalen Cheney, yes, Cheney, Jalen Cheney, is a plus size travel blogger. So she's constantly on planes and she has like 138,000 followers on TikTok. And she's urging the US airlines to adjust the regulations to correspond with Canada's. Yeah, see, I guess Canada, they've got all these overweight passengers, and you can take up multiple seats and purchase 1 ticket, and it's not that big, which requires overweight. So the Canada rule is that it requires overweight passengers taking up multiple seats to just purchase the 1 ticket. Now in the US, you have to purchase 2 because you're taking up 2 seats. So in a video, this woman, Jalen, she says, this isn't just about giving fat people more, it's about accommodating basic needs. Okay, it's not a basic need. You're a travel blogger. It's not a basic need to travel, okay, and to use the airlines. Okay, this heavy-set travel enthusiast just doesn't understand consequences. Okay, now I'm not trying to disparage fat people or call them less than. Okay, that's not what I'm doing here. I'm saying your actions have consequences, and if you've eaten yourself to a point where you have to take up 2, 3, 4 seats on an airline, then you have to pay for that. Okay, that's called consequences for your actions. And this travel enthusiast, has long advocated for the necessity of larger seats. She says it's a necessity to have larger seats on aircraft, alleging that major airline companies have systematically reduced the size of their seats over time for the past several years to accommodate an increased number of passengers. Yeah, it's kind of like concert venues. They make the seats really small in order to get as many people in. It's also probably due to the fact that more people travel via airlines than ever before. So Cheney has uploaded numerous recordings of herself occupying nearly 3 seats on an airplane. Okay, so she takes up an entire row. You are losing the airline money, okay, because they could fill those seats with more people, and you're losing the airline money by taking up 3 seats. So, of course, they're going to ask you to purchase more tickets if you're taking up 3 seats. She wants the US to enact Canada's one person, one ticket policy adopted by the country in 2008. Now, I do have to take a quick break. We're going to wrap this story up. Plus, I do want to get to another deranged TikToker, unhinged TikToker vowing to spit in Trump supporters' food during Thanksgiving. And I think she was like recommending people do this to their Trump supporting family members. I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Oh, hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Before we took the break, I was telling you a little bit about this TikToker. She's an obese TikToker, a heavyset travel enthusiast, and she's advocated for the necessity of larger seats on aircraft. She's got this conspiracy theory, which, I mean, okay, come on. It's not really a conspiracy theory. I get it. Major airline companies have to reduce the size of seats in order to get more passengers on. They want to make more money. Yes, of course, it's about making more money. It's an airline, it's a company. Okay, so she's alleging that major airline companies have systematically reduced the size of their seats over the past several years to accommodate an increased number of passengers. Yeah, that's what companies do. Okay. Concert venues, they try to get as many people in there. They reduce the size of the seats. Now, this woman, Jalen Cheney, she has uploaded numerous videos of herself occupying three seats, because she's a very, very large woman. This is, and I'm not upset with the fact that she's a large woman. What I really am upset with is that she doesn't understand consequences. When you eat like that and you get that large, there are consequences to your actions. She wants the U.S. to enact Canada's one person, one ticket policy, which was adopted by the country in 2008. So, much like the gender transitioning thing, you have to give up your entire life to the government healthcare system in order to transition, which anything to make it harder for kids to transition and to chop off their body parts, I'm all for. But there's a theme here where we've got Canada's healthcare system, their government healthcare. They want to know every little last detail about you in your life. And it's this guise of, oh, we're pro-fat people, we're pro-obese people, and you just, you eat whatever you want. Um, and we'll let you, have one ticket, this one person, one ticket policy, and we won't make you pay for these extra seats. But there's always a catch, okay? Canada isn't like this compassionate government that's just allowing people to do whatever they want with their bodies, and that they say, oh, it's body autonomy. Really, you're giving up a lot of your rights to go through with this, gender transitioning surgery for minors. You give up a lot of your rights, or you give up a lot of your private information to the Canadian or the Canadian government and their healthcare system. Same thing here. To determine whether a passenger is eligible for Air Canada's one person, one fare policy, one ticket, one person policy. That's what they have, and they implemented it in 2008. The passenger must submit their height, weight, body mass index, surface measurements. They have to measure their entire body, and they have to be approved for travel for this for airlines fitness for travel policy 48 hours before takeoff. Additionally, a physician has to sign off on this document that obtains all of these measurements of the person, of the passenger. So they're like, oh, look what Canada does. They have such great laws when it comes to you being able to gender transition your child. And they have great laws when it comes to, allowing fat people on the plane and letting them take up 3-4 seats. You have to give up so much of your private healthcare information in order to utilize these policies, these Canadian policies. So the United States lacks a comparable policy. According to the Department of Transportation, airlines are not obligated to provide more than one seat per ticket purchased. Yeah, good. It's called consequences, and live with them. Okay, so this is what she said in a video. She goes, why is it in other countries like Canada, which I already ran through, the policy kind of sucks. You have to submit all of your personal health information, and you have to get a physician to sign off on it, even to utilize the policy, by the way. But she says, why do other countries like Canada recognize this basic need? Well, I'll tell you why they have that policy implemented, because they want your personal information and they want to know everything about you, because it's a tyrannical government. And then she goes, but here in the US, airlines are still making money off of our discomfort. Gosh. It's time they stop profiting from our bodies and start treating everyone fairly. No. She's been at this a while, folks. This obese TikToker. She's been after this a while. So she filed a petition in 2023 seeking U.S. airlines to refund passengers who had to purchase numerous tickets due to their overweight size. Here we are over a year later, and the airline sector has not matched that demand. You're talking to the sky here, lady. Okay, the U.S. airlines is not going to bend the knee to one fat woman making a big fuss about having to purchase multiple seats to 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 be able to sit. I mean, she's taking up the whole row here. Another TikToker I want to get to, a really disgusting TikToker going viral on social media, warning Trump supporters that they need to watch their backs this Thanksgiving. Okay, so maybe you're a Trump supporter and you got a family of Kamala Harris supporters. Maybe they saw this video and then took her advice and they spit in your food last night. Maybe. I don't know what your family is like, and hopefully, that didn't happen to you. But this woman kind of was like recommending that Kamala Harris supporters spit in their Trump supporter family's food as a form of punishment for being politically incorrect, I guess. So we're going to be back with that story here next on Conservative Cat Cities 92.9 The News and Talk of Bloomington Normal. Hey, go ahead and smash that like button and share this out with your friends. So go drive. Yeah, drive a van. But get a big seated van, a driver seat, and go drive a van and drive to where you need to go. Yeah, if the airlines won't accommodate your travel because of your size, then you need to. It's this whole idea of accountability, and Democrats don't have it. She is not taking her she's not taking her situation and applying herself and accommodating herself. She wants people to accommodate her because of her actions. She doesn't want to be held accountable. um I'll have to look into this. I don't know. Trevor Sierra, former assistant McLean County State's attorney, investigation. I haven't heard anything about that. I'll look into that, Jacqueline. Go ahead, smash that button. We're going to be right back with more stories ahead on your Black Friday. It's Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. It's Conservative Cat. Woo! Hey, good morning. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk blooming to normal. At the top of the hour, I am going to get to this grotesque TikToker who's going viral on social media after warning Trump supporters to watch their backs this Thanksgiving as she predicts that Kamala Harris voters are going to be spitting in your food as a form of punishment for being politically incorrect. Yes, we're going to get to this. Wow. Don't you just love liberals? They're just such compassionate people. How sick. How sick. We're going to get to that here in just a second. But leftovers. How long can you actually keep eating that leftover turkey and the fixins? It kind of depends on how the food is stored and how long it sits out before it's put away and placed in the fridge or freezer. So the leftovers are put away within 2 hours of being served, and they're served in like these airtight containers. Experts say that it's safe in the fridge for up to 4 days. So only 4 days. And then in the freezer, it could be stored up to 6 months. Of course, many big eaters on Thanksgiving are wondering, what are leftovers, Kat? I don't know what you're talking about because I have no leftovers. We've got a ton. Now, a lot of Thanksgiving hosts, which I hosted yesterday, I'm not a big fan of leftovers. I'm gonna be honest with you. It stresses me out when my fridge is like piled high. um, but 70% of Americans prefer Thanksgiving leftovers to the meal. And most people prefer slapping their leftovers on the sandwich the next day instead of, how the food was originally served. They actually like, the food served the next day on a sandwich, like a turkey sandwich or something like that. So 70% of Americans prefer Thanksgiving leftovers over the actual meal. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but also this hour, the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking about this unaccompanied minor. She was 2 years old. She arrived at the border with nothing but a note in her hand. And then we're going to get Joy Reid. She goes on this massive rant about Elon Musk heading up this DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. She says that Elon Musk is going to force you to drink raw milk. What? What are you talking about, Joy Reid? I also do want to get to AOC. She's melting down because Mike Johnson, he's going to block men from using girls' bathrooms and women's bathrooms because it actually endangers women. And silly old representative AOC, she's melting down because they're blocking men from using women's restrooms on Capitol property. So I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Welcome to the Red Kingdom. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. We've got so much to get to today. I do want to get to this grotesque TikToker. She's just terrible. She was calling on Kamala Harris voters to spit in their family's food if they were supporters of Trump. So, in a social media post that's gone viral, by the way, she was warning Trump supporters to watch their backs this Thanksgiving, and she predicted that many Kamala Harris supporters would be spitting in their food as a form of punishment for being politically incorrect and voting for Donald Trump. Let's take a listen to the clip. Here we go.
MAGA, Southern MAGA women, all MAGA, really. This is for you. I was thinking about Thanksgiving last night again, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that this is going to happen to you, say, if you go out to eat. But if you're going to attend a mixed bag event, variety of political opinions, are you concerned about your relatives maybe spitting in your food? Maybe they won't. I don't know your family. I don't know your family. I just know I've had some family members, and I would have be happy to with the most, and of course not if I was sick or anything harmful, but just with the cleanest of mouths, I would have happily spit into his mashed potatoes. So this is just a word of warning. Be careful at your mixed bag holiday events if you have some people that might not agree with you. And I would also maybe not wear any propaganda out to any, if you need any kind of service, customer service, food service, especially, I would be very careful about, you know, parading your viewpoint at this time for your own safety. It's also cold and flu season. So, anyway, I hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving.
Wow, don't you just love how she throws in her fake morals there? So she claims she'd never ever do that if she was sick or if her mouth wasn't clean. Oh wow. Um I mean, the way that this woman speaks, though, about people and how they're subhuman and how they deserve to have their food spit in, your mouth is probably likely never clean because considering what comes out of it. I mean, look at what are you talking about? You're the compassionate one. You're the inclusive one. These people want you to believe that they're on the compassionate side. They're the inclusive ones. They're the good people, right? Because a side that claims to be dedicated to including all things and all people, right? She really knows how to other half of the country. She's othering and she's acting as if these people, Trump supporters, are subhuman. She's othering half of the country. An entire half of the country voted for Donald Trump. A majority of the country voted for Donald Trump. And they claim that they're dedicated to including all peoples and all points of views. Yeah, baloney. Okay, you really know how to other or to uh, cast them as, less than human. The fact that she thinks everyone else is the problem but her proves how delusional these people are. Although not every Kamala Harris supporter is like this, I understand that. We can almost be certain that most people like this voted for Kamala Harris. Okay, although not every single Kamala Harris supporter is willing to spit in a Trump supporter's food. I think that almost certain, with almost all, I could say with 100% certainty that most people who are like this definitely voted for Kamala Harris. You would never hear a Trump supporter talking about how they'd spit in a Kamala Harris supporter's food. I can't believe that she looks at half of the country like this, over half of the country like this. You know what? Um, you actually think that they are so subhuman that they deserve spit-infused mashed potatoes? What the hell is wrong with you? The sooner these people accept the reality that Donald Trump is going to be our president, the better off they're going to be. But misery loves company, and It's going to be a long 4 years for this lady, I'll tell you that much. She's very unladylike, too, by the way. This unladylike lady, she's going to be in it for a long, long, long time. 4 years, okay? This is going to be a long 4 years for her. She is miserable, clearly, and she wants to have company, which is why she's, warning these Trump supporters, hey, you're gonna have your mashed potatoes spit in this Thanksgiving. And wow, I just can't believe it. This was an explosive TikTok, grotesque, really gross TikToker, and this video has gone viral. All right, I do want to talk a little bit about this unaccompanied 2-year-old at the border. She arrived at the border with nothing but a note in her hand. We're also going to get to Joy Reid. She went on a massive rant here on Elon Musk's Doge. Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy, they're going to head up this government agency. It's called Doge. It's the Department of Government Efficiency. And she claims that Elon Musk is going to force you to drink raw milk. These people are freaked out by raw milk. I don't understand. Every time I turn on the news, they're like freaking out about raw milk. Relax. Raw milk, most people who drink raw milk, they have cows of their own, and it's completely safe to drink. What gets difficult is by, transporting raw milk. It's only good for a certain time period. And if you're transporting it or trying to ship it across, the country, it's going to be harder to keep. There could be bacteria in it. But just leave the people alone. If they're drinking raw milk from their cow in their backyard, chill out. All right, we're going to get to that. But first, this 2-year-old girl, she arrived at the southern border all by herself, claiming that she intended to meet up with her parents in the United States. So this is a really tragic story. It's unclear why there's no national backlash regarding the government's blatant disregard for such vulnerable child safety. Okay, this is a vulnerable child, 2 years old, and shows up at the border. Now, this is all in Spanish because the little girl doesn't understand English. So this is all in Spanish, but I do want to play the clip, and then I'll translate it. Just to prove to you that this conversation happened with the Texas Department of Public Safety. Okay, they've encountered a lot of children at the border. I'm going to share this video. It's really heartbreaking. She's just got like this little note, this little sticky note, and it's in Spanish, but I am going to translate it. Just take a listen.
Venezuela, mamá. Venezuela.
He asks her, did you come by yourself, and how old are you?
¿Qué tantos años tienes? ¿2 años? ¿No vienes con tu mamá y tu papá?
You don't come with your mom and dad?
¿No? ¿Venezuela? ¿Para dónde vas, mamá?
He says you're by yourself. She confirms that she's by herself.
¿Dónde están? ¿Estados Unidos? Okay.
He says, where's your mom and dad? And then the little girl goes, United States. This is incredibly sad. So according to the Post-Millennial, footage was released of this 2-year-old girl arriving at the southern border with little more than a slip of paper with her name on it and contact information. This comes as Biden-Harris administration has been criticized over the last 4 years. We also had Javier Becerra sitting there and not having an answer for the 400,000 plus children that are unaccounted for. They're just lost. He doesn't know where they're at. Okay, he was questioned about this with they were House Republicans, and they were questioning Javier Becerra. Hey, where are the 400,000 plus children? And can you account for these 400,000 plus children? They were also grilling Javier Becerra over the fact that they had children in their custody. So, of course, the Department of Homeland or Department of Human Health Services, they had children in their custody, and then they allowed for these children to be placed in strip clubs rather than homes. Like, actually listed as the address was a strip club. They didn't do digging to ensure that this child wasn't being sent to a strip club. They were sent with MS-13 gang members. And the list goes on. It's a tragedy what's going on, and they've been criticized over it, the Biden-Harris administration, Javier Becerra being one of them, the HHS secretary. So this comes just 1 week after the Biden administration was accused of such failures that led to the exploitation and abuse of migrant children. This includes reports that top administration officials knew how the dramatic increase in illegal child labor, knew that there was a dramatic increase in illegal child labor, but they took no meaningful steps to prevent this occurrence. Okay. The video of the 2-year-old girl encountering authorities at the border showed her telling officers that she arrived at the border alone and she said that she was going to meet up with her mother and father in the US. The authorities asked her where her parents were, and she said the United States. Something tells me that this little girl is not here to find her parents, but you'll have to be the judge of that. This small child was seen holding a yellow slip of paper, and there were other children around her. Okay, there was nothing else. She had nothing else. She just, had the clothes on her back and this little slip of paper that had her name and contact information on it. So, according to the Texas Department of Public Safety spokesperson Chris Olivares, the slip of paper had a phone number and a name on it. How much longer is the left going to pretend like this isn't happening and they're the compassionate ones and that the open border is the compassionate thing? This is obviously illegal child labor. I don't think that she's meeting up with her parents. Now, I'm not saying that her parents aren't victims here. Most likely her parents were killed and she was sent over the border, trafficked by human smugglers. She didn't get to the border herself, folks. And she was probably apprehended at the border in the middle of a child trafficking exchange. She was probably being bought by somebody here in the United States, which is really just so sad. So, how much longer is the left going to pretend that open borders is the compassionate thing to do? And for years, the fake tears regarding the families and the migrant families, right, being split up at the border, these people could care less about these children and these migrant families. They really could care less. This is not the compassionate thing to do, the open border situation. There's no way her parents let her travel by herself. The kids at this age, they can't even go to the bathroom, let alone across the country and to another country. And even if her parents are waiting for her in the United States, which likely they're not, that proves that they're unfit and they can't take care of this child. So the chances that the parents are actually the victims here, most likely they were killed in Mexico. This child was taken. That's what I'm thinking happened. They were killed. This child was taken for the exploitation of and abuse. She was sold into slavery. The human smuggler got her to the border for somebody to purchase her, but she was, taken into custody by the border authorities. The fact that children often bear the burden of progressive social experiments. Let's think about this for a second. The gender transitioning surgeries. Children are bearing the burden of this social experiment of gender transitioning surgeries. Abortion, they're bearing the burden of this progressive social experiment, the children being aborted, right? This just goes to prove to you that these policies are evil because the children are always bearing the burden of these experiments. The parents being victims in this situation, very, very high. If not, I don't know if they're alive. To be honest with you, I'd imagine that they're dead. And the left, all they can do is they can't even really pretend to care. They don't. Javier Becerra sitting up there giving non-answers to all of these questions. Hey, are you doing the proper vetting of these adults who foster these children out of the HHS system, sponsor the children? Are you vetting these people? Are they MS-13 gang members? How are you ensuring that they're not MS-13? Are you doing background checks? Are you verifying the addresses to ensure that they're not strip clubs? Right? And he acted like he didn't even care. He couldn't even pretend to care. But we can be certain that more and more unaccompanied minors are going to arrive at this border at an alarming rate until Donald Trump is inaugurated. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk blooming to normal. I am going to get to this. I found the email. It's circulating. It was posted last night. Jacqueline, she texted in, she goes, Kat, I know you're gonna do an investigation into this, but I hope to hear discussion about the email being circulated from Trevor Sierra, the former assistant McLean County State's attorney. We're gonna get to that. This is some local news. I read through the email and I'm not shocked. Now, allegedly, it looks like you had government officials campaigning for this issue of eliminating the county auditor's office, and they were collecting donation from employees on government property. We all know that this is illegal. You cannot do that. You cannot use taxpayer money, by the way, to advocate for either a referendum or a candidate. But Champaign County did it too, where they were using advertising dollars to campaign for a sales tax referendum. They bought this big old billboard, and it was not an informational billboard. Okay, now you can, using government money, run informational campaigns, but you can't campaign with government money. You see where that would be a problem. It's against the law. I'll pull up the law that says that you can't really electioneer either. You can't campaign using government resources or government property because that's propaganda. That the very definition of propaganda. You cannot use your government position to try to push a ballot initiative like eliminating the county auditor. Now, of course, that failed in McLean County and it failed in Champaign County as well. But we're going to be right back talking a little bit more about this email that's circulating. Allegedly, there is an individual who was soliciting and trying to get donations from people to get money into this PAC to run a campaign to vote yes for eliminating the county auditor position. I'll be right back. It's Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Hey, good morning. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every single morning. We're going to get to this local story here. Now, Chuck Erickson, McLean County Board member, former McLean County Board member, he posted the email. Okay, and I want to stick to the email here. And this is Trevor Sierra. He's a former assistant county state's attorney who provided legal advice to the county board. And he made all kinds of allegations in this email, specifically against the county administrator, Cassie Taylor. Okay, so I'm going to start with the email, then we're going to kind of unpack this. It's explosive. So here we go. He's making allegations. Okay, I want to be very clear. I haven't done an investigation into this. Really, somebody should do an investigation into this. I will do everything I can journalistically to investigate this, but something needs to be done. If any of this is true, people need to be fired. People need to be let go because this is illegal activity if it's true. So this is according to an email. Honorable members of the McLean County Board and County Auditor Michelle Anderson. I regret to inform you of unethical conduct arising from the office of the county administrator, Cassie Taylor, by the way. Over the course of these last 3 months, the county board adopted a referendum to eliminate the office of the McLean County Auditor. Ms. Taylor used her position as county administrator, which is one of the highest offices in county government, by the way, county administrator, to orchestrate political activities intended to promote the passage of the referendum. Such political activity includes the solicitation of funds from county employees for the referendum. Such political activity includes solicitations of funds from the county employees. So he's going to provide in this email several examples of how those activities transpired. Okay, political activities, the activities of soliciting these funds from county employees. Now, she was trying to get these funds, allegedly. Like I said, this is all according to one email. I'd love to find out more, and I will, I promise. But the story is developing, and this email has been circulating around, and apparently somebody FOIA'd for it, and Chuck Erickson, a former McLean County board member, has made it public. So he says that he's really accusing the county administrator here of soliciting funds from county employees for a political action committee established to support the referendum. Okay, so the county board, they voted to put the referendum out on the ballot, which you can do, to eliminate the office of the county auditor. Now, for context here, you have to understand the history. In 2014, there was a referendum to eliminate the county auditor's office. It failed in 2016 or 2018. This is according to Chuck Erickson. They tried to run a Republican primary opponent, Tricia Malott. Now, I do remember this against the current auditor, Michelle Anderson. Tricia Malott failed in 2020. The Democrats ran Rob Fazzini against the current county auditor. He failed in 2024. They tried to pass this referendum again, and it failed. Okay, so they have been going after this county auditor's office, not only in McLean County, but all of the state of Illinois. According to an Illinois law, in counties containing less than 3 million, so Cook County has more than 3 million and over 70,000 inhabitants, there is a created office of county auditor. So there's already parameters in which you can even have a county auditor. Smaller communities cannot have a county auditor, and large communities like Cook County don't have to have a county auditor. Now, those in-betweeners, they have to create an office of county auditor, but for years now, they've been passing referendum after referendum. In Peoria County, the auditor was ousted by the voters in 2022. There are only 17 counties that fit into those population limits, by the way. And a lot of them have put referendums on the ballot. And for example, in Peoria, the voters ousted the Peoria County auditor, okay, via referendum. Now, there were two referendums, both in Champaign County and McLean County this last election. They both failed. Now, that would leave only 14 auditors statewide had those passed. Okay, so there is an attack statewide against county auditors, and you're probably wondering, I wonder why that is. Could it be that the county auditor holds government accountable for their spending? And Democrats, specifically Democrats, and Republicans, they love to spend or spend your taxpayer dollars willy-nilly, and they're typically inefficient. In Champaign, I disclosed and exposed how the Champaign County Auditor revealed that there was like $2 million of lost revenue because these idiots didn't put money into an interest-bearing account where they could have saved the taxpayer dollars or gained the taxpayer dollars, $2 million in just interest by putting the ARPA funds, federal funds, COVID dollars into an interest-bearing account. In order for the revenue to come in from that account, they could have saved the taxpayer monies. They could have saved $2 million. So he pointed out this revenue loss, and he said, "Shame on you guys for not putting this into an interest-bearing account. Why would you not do that?" And they tried to oust him, I think, out of retaliation because he exposed that kind of behavior. He also was advocating against a public safety tax referendum, raising the taxes for public safety. He was advocating against that. He said that the county did not need those extra funds or that additional revenue, that it was a spending issue, and he advocated against that tax hike, that referendum. I think it was out of retaliation, really, why they tried to oust the Champaign County Auditor. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know Michelle Anderson, never spoken to her. I have no idea why they would want to oust Michelle Anderson so bad. Okay, they tried to run a couple of candidates against her, and they keep failing, and they try to get rid of this office, and they keep failing. So I'm going to continue with this email. Explosive stuff, folks. You've got this isn't just some schmuck. He is a former assistant county state's attorney, okay? And he's providing legal advice for the county board how they should move forward with this Cassie Taylor debacle. Okay, so he provides examples, and very, very specific examples. I don't know why he would lie about this. So Sierra, in this email, says, quote, on or about Thursday, September 5th, 2024. Okay, so he provides a specific date, which suggests to me, why would he lie, right? Why would he just pull that date out of his butt? He wouldn't. Miss Taylor first approached me on the subject of making such a personal donation. She stated that the county board member, Elizabeth Johnston, would be coming through the county administrator's office to collect donations from employees who desired to contribute. She stated that the Political Action Committee rules allowed for cash donations of up to $149 per person or $298 per couple without any names being published. So if you make a donation to this Political Action Committee, you can kind of get out of disclosing your name publicly if it's below a certain threshold, okay? So that's true, but here's the problem with all of this. The big problem with all of this, you can't go around asking employees on government property to be making contributions to a political cause, okay, or a campaign. You just simply can't do that. Election officials are free to make contribution to candidates that they choose, but this is not the issue here. The issue is that you can't do it on government property. You can't do it using your government authority or your office title as a county administrator. So by going around her office on government property, she is implying that she's using her position to try to get contributions. Okay, if this is true, and I don't know why Trevor would lie about this. He's an attorney, folks. He's not just some schmuck, okay? There simply can't be free and fair elections ever again if the government and its office holders can use the government printing press, can use their positions of power, can use the resources, the taxpayer resources, at their unlimited discretion. There just simply cannot be fair elections if this type of stuff goes on. Nobody can compete with the funding that the government has because they can always get more. They can just raise your taxes and they can always get more. So they can't use government funds. Now, that's not what was going. They're using government resources, which is also against the law. I'm going to read a couple of laws. This is the state law. Okay. State employees may not intentionally misappropriate any state property or resources by engaging in any prohibited political activity for the benefit of any campaign or elective office or any political organization. So a PAC that is pro eliminating the county office or the county auditor office, getting donations for that PAC prohibited under state law. Another state law prohibits the expenditure of public funds to advocate votes for or against a referendum. That's not what's going on here so far. I think she just used government property, but permits use of public funds to disseminate factual data. So you can use public funds to disseminate factual data. You can't be for or against a referendum or a candidate and use public funds to advertise for that candidate or the referendum. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but we're going to continue with this email. I'm breaking it down for you. It's a lengthy email, and he's actually providing legal advice to the county board of how they should move forward with Cassie Taylor and what they need to do. There was several instances here where he talks about, she's trying to get she was orchestrating political activities intended to promote the passage of this referendum to eliminate the county auditor. And clearly, you can't do that. You can't do political activities like that. You can't. Such political activity includes the solicitation of funds from county employees for a political action committee, a PAC, established to support the referendum. So she was getting donations for this PAC. This is explosive stuff. We're going to be right back. It's Conservative Count on Cities 92.9. All right. We are getting into this explosive email that's been circulating on social media, originally posted by Chuck Erickson for Illinois. He's a former McLean County board member. This email apparently was FOIA'd, first published by Chuck Erickson, and this is kind of shocking. My jaw is I'm not too shocked because this is just, government. Champaign County, they spent, I think it was like $68,000 advertising for a public safety tax hike referendum. They wanted to hike the taxes on Champaign County residents, and they, dumped a ton of money into mailers, radio ads, TV ads to try to get this referendum passed. It failed, by the way, despite spending all of that money to try to convince people that this was going to be a good thing for them, raising their taxes. But they used government funds for that, which I don't know about you. And they tried to say, you can totally do that because you're disseminating factual data. Come on, the billboards were clearly for the referendum. They definitely weren't against the referendum, the tax hike referendum in Champaign County. And state law prohibits the expenditure of public funds to advocate votes for or against a referendum, but permits the use of public funds to disseminate factual data. As I said, state employees may not intentionally misappropriate any state property or resources by engaging in any prohibited political activity for the benefit of any campaign or elected office or any political organization. So this email, written by Trevor Sierra, who is the former state's attorney, assistant county state's attorney, he wrote an email to the honorable members of the McLean County Board and County Auditor Michelle Anderson. So he says this, he starts out the email like this: I regret to inform you of unethical conduct arising from the county administrator's office over the course of the last 3 months after the county board adopted a referendum to eliminate the office of the McLean County Auditor. Ms. Taylor used her position as county administrator to orchestrate political activities, which you're not supposed to do, intended to promote the passage of a referendum, such as, and he lays this out. He says the political activity includes solicitation of funds from public employees for a political action committee established to support the referendum. So you can't do that. You can't use government property. Here's the issue, folks. The issue isn't that these people were donating to this cause. She was doing it in the actual office of the physical office of the county administrator. You can't do that. You just can't. It's against the law. So elected officials, they're free to make contributions to candidates they want or causes that they want, PACs that they want. That's not the issue here. The issue is that they can't do it on government property. They can't, because it's against the law. So let's continue with this email. He says, on or about Thursday. So on or about Thursday. But he gives like a pretty specific timeline here, September 5th, 2024, which suggests to me that this guy is not lying. There's more that suggests to me, like further down in the email, you're going to see that I don't think that this guy's lying at all, Trevor Sierra. But he says, on September 5th, 2024, Ms. Taylor first approached me on the subject of making a personal donation. She stated that the county board member, Elizabeth Johnson, would be coming through the county administrator's office to collect the donations from any employees who desired to contribute. She stated that the Political Action Committee rules allowed for cash donations of up to $149 per person or $298 per couple without any names being published. So, you have to publish your name if you make larger contributions. That's just state statute. If you make political contributions, you have to make your name public. But there's certain thresholds. So a couple could make $298 donation without their name being published or out there for the public to see. So Ms. Taylor asked me a second time about a donation on about Tuesday, September 10th, reminding me and other staff members in the administrator's office that Ms. Johnston would be coming through the office again to pick up donations later that week. My recollection is that the assistant county administrator, Kathy Dreyer, I think as her name, was on vacation in Mexico, but Ms. Taylor called and offered to make a cash contribution on her behalf. And then Kathy, the county administrator, the assistant county administrator, she would be repay, like she could repay Kathy, or she could repay Cassie when she got back from Mexico. Okay. So he goes, but Miss Taylor called and offered to make a contribution, a cash contribution on behalf of Miss Dreyer, which could be repaid upon Miss Dreyer's return. Okay. About 2 days thereafter, I provided Miss Johnston with a cash envelope containing approximately $298 on behalf of myself and my spouse. So he's wrote this email now. Now he's admitting that he was part of this. Okay, he admitted that he actually provided a donation on government property at the request of the county administrator, Cassie Taylor. Explosive. And the reason that's explosive, he's providing specific dates, okay, which tells me, okay, this guy's telling the truth. He also is willing to put himself out there. Okay, now he is being forthcoming about this, which means he's probably scared, most likely, that because this is, not a legal activity, okay, to be soliciting donations in support of this referendum. If you're going around collecting funds from county employees on government property for a political action committee established to support this referendum to oust the county auditor, that's a no-no. That's a big, big no-no according to state law. I just read you the state law. Okay, so he goes on in the email after admitting that he provided a political cash donation to this political action committee on government property to Cassie Taylor, right, who was, kind of at the helm of this, and Miss Johnston. It sounds like she had a part to play in this. She'd be going around and picking up donations. Okay. On September 19th, Miss Taylor stated that fundraising efforts were not satisfactory and asked me to call the state's attorney, Erica Reynolds, to inquire whether Circuit Judge Don Knapp or other allies would be willing to contribute to the PAC. Miss Taylor explicitly stated, quote, "If asked about this conversation, I will lie." Wow. So she didn't want to call up and ask the state's attorney herself. She didn't want to do that, or the circuit judge, Don Knapp herself. She wanted this fella here, Trevor Sierra, to do that for her. And she explicitly stated, quote, "If asked about this conversation, I'm going to lie. I called Miss Reynolds that same day, September 19th, per Miss Taylor's request. Miss Reynolds had questions regarding the PAC that I could not answer, so she asked me to ask Miss Johnson for a contact. I provided Miss Reynolds with a name and a telephone number that had been provided to me by Miss Johnston. So on about Wednesday, October 2nd, okay, so the last 3 months here, really, really questionable behavior. This is rough. Really questionable behavior from Miss Johnson and the county administrator, Cassie Taylor. I got to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. We'll be right back. Okay. So this is kind of explosive stuff, folks. We're going to get through the rest of this email. I shared it onto my show page. You guys are welcome to go check it out. But she solicited donation contributions a third time, stating that the PAC was short of an established goal for the promotional materials. Okay, so they need like mailers. They need like, this is a campaign. Okay, so of course they need donations for this political action committee in order to get the word out there and promote vote yes for ousting the county auditor position. So a day or shortly thereafter, I provided Miss Johnston with another $200 cash. All solicitations described herein took place at the government center. No promises or threats were made regarding the contributions. I regret my participation in these activities and offer my sincere apologies to the county auditor, Michelle Anderson, each of you, and most importantly, the taxpayers of McLean County. Wow. Incredible. Incredible. Wow, this is insane. This is actually insane. So if it's true, right? If it's true, allegedly, he's discussing all of these things and he's apologizing for it. So that suggests to me that this all is true, especially because he offers up specific dates. Now, this is going to be dismissed as, oh, it's not that big of a deal, and this kind of stuff happens all of the time. It shouldn't happen all of the time. Let me read this for you again. I'm gonna throw it up here in the comments section so you guys can see the wording of the state law. Okay, so here we go. State employees may not intentionally misappropriate any state property or resources by engaging in prohibited political activity for the benefit of any campaign or elected offices or any political organizations. Look at that state law. All right, I'm wrapping up this email here from Trevor Sierra, which has been obtained via FOIA and was published by Chuck Erickson. So on October 2nd, Ms. Taylor solicited a contribution a third time, stating that the PAC was short of their established goal for the promotional materials. A day or shortly thereafter, I provided Ms. Johnston, Elizabeth Johnson, a McLean County board member, $200 cash. All solicitations described in this email took place, here we go, drum roll please, at the government center. This is government property. No promises or threats were made regarding contributions. I regret my participation in these activities. Now, Trevor Sierra, his job was to provide legal advice to the county board. Okay, he was the assistant, former. Let's see here. He's the former assistant county state's attorney. Okay, and he was tasked with providing legal assistance to the county board. This is a big deal because this guy he's in government. Now he says, I regret my participation in these activities. And he apologized to the auditor and, most importantly, the taxpayers. Explosive email. Thank you so much for tuning in. We gotta go. That's the end of the show. We'll have more on that story probably tomorrow morning. It's explosive. It's breaking. That email is huge. And we'll have more on it definitely, but that was breaking news this morning. So do appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead, smash that like button and share this out with your friends. You guys have a blessed day. Bye-bye. I love you. And remember, this is just one email. There should be an investigation conducted to fact check this, see if it's going on, see if they actually violated the state law that I threw up here. State employees may not intentionally, so this was obviously intentional, going around soliciting donation. That's a pretty intentional activity. Misappropriate state property. So this is government property. Okay. Or resources by engaging in any prohibited political activity for the benefit of a campaign. So, I mean, that's soliciting donations. That's political activity that's prohibited. Okay, you cannot do that on government property. That's the problem here. It's not so much that they were making contributions, the employees themselves were making the contributions. It's that you had elected officials and you had county administrator Cassie Taylor soliciting this donation fund, like trying to get money for this fund on government property. Okay, so that's the issue here. It's not that they made contributions to the candidates or to the causes they support. They can do that. Okay, you are free to do that. You cannot do it on government property. It's against the law. All right, you guys have a blessed day. Bye-bye. Love you.